Hey there, welcome in. My name is Mike DeJohn, and this is Soundstage EDU. This show exists for the people behind the programs. The parents, the directors, the volunteers, the ones carrying things that most people never see. We talk about the real stuff here. Booster culture, leadership, burnout, governance, and what it actually takes to build something that lasts for the kids. So if you're in it, you're in the right place. But before we jump in, just a couple of quick things. If this show has helped you, even once, follow it, save it, come back to it. There are a lot of episodes here, and chances are something you're dealing with right now, we've probably already talked about it. And if you know someone else in your program, another parent, board member, or director who's in the middle of it with you, share this with them. Because these conversations, well, they hit different when you're not the only one hearing them. All right. Let's get into it. All right. So today, I want to talk to the parents. Just the parents. Not the directors, not the booster officers, not students. Just the parents. So just in case you are a booster officer and you're listening to this, I want you to take that hat off and put on your parent hat. Mom or dad. Just the parents. Because every year about this time, thousands, literally thousands of moms and dads find themselves standing in a parking lot somewhere, watching their child walk up to a high school and walk into a band room. And they start to wonder, what exactly am I supposed to do now? And honestly, I feel like that might be the wrong question. I've seen the question come up in some of the groups that I'm a part of, asking for tips and advice. And, hey, I'm a freshman parent. What do I need to expect? What do I need to do? What do I need to pack? What do I need to bring for my kid for band camp? What do I need to tell my kid? What do I need to expect? What's it going to be like? You know, all the questions, right? All the concerns. And I think there's a better question that we need to be asking here. A question that's actually going to be more impactful for all involved, even the veteran parents. And that question is, who does my child need me to become during this experience? All the things that you're supposed to do, I promise you, you're going to figure them out along the way. There are going to be plenty of people that are going to help guide you along the way. But what they can't do necessarily is help you find who you need to become. Because contrary to popular belief, your primary role is not fundraising. It's not volunteering. It's not moving the equipment. It's not going door to door selling discount cards. It's not working a shift at the concession stand and getting burned by hot cheese. I mean, all those things are helpful. They are. And they're needed. Step in if you can. But what I really want to emphasize is that those things are not the reason that you are here. Your real job is much, much bigger than that. Your job is really not much different than it has been this whole time. It just has a different lens on it now. But through this experience, your job is to become a stable platform from which your child can grow. And on the surface, that sounds simple. Really does, because that's what you've been doing, right? As a parent, me as a parent, talking to you parent to parent, our job is, and always has been, being that stable place for our kids to land. And a stable place for them to grow from. We're their foundation. And so, yeah, that sounds simple. Until the season starts. Because you need to understand that we have now walked into a totally different world. It's not like it has been. It's changed suddenly. And your child is now sitting inside of a world where they become stressed. And it may be something that they've never really quite dealt with before, at least not at this level. The director's demanding. The schedule is crazy. It's hot outside. There's a group chat. Maybe you're part of it. I know your kid's part of one. I know my kid is in multiple group chats with the ensembles that she's part of her theater, part of her choir group, and soon the marching band when that starts up. I believe it already has started up. The group chat, that is. But they're in a group chat that's melting down. The uniforms don't fit. Maybe they're uncomfortable for the kid. They just don't like it. Then a football game got moved. Competition scores that come later in the season aren't what everyone hoped for. And through all of that, you discover what kind of parent you're going to be. Because every parent eventually faces a choice. Will you become a source of pressure? Or will you become a source of stability? I mean, the best band parents, the best fine arts parents, period, that I've ever known all seem to understand something important. The performance, that belongs to the students, as does the experience and the growth that come with it. It's why they're there. We, as parents, hear me out and hear me carefully. We're just walking beside them, not leading them, not controlling them, but walking beside them. And that can be difficult. Especially the moment that you see your kiddo struggle. You want to swoop right in there and fix it. You want to solve it. You want to lift them up. You want to make them feel comfortable again. You want to protect them from disappointment. But I'm going to say what you all already know that we've all heard a million times in our corporate environments and in our growing up in environments and in college if we went there. But just in general, we've heard this in one way or another. And that's that growth does not happen in comfort. Growth happens when young people discover that they can do hard things. And band is full of hard things. Missing a set, getting called out in a rehearsal, losing a solo, not making the leadership team, failing an audition, performing when you're scared, performing when you're tired, performing when you're convinced that everyone is literally judging you. And those moments are uncomfortable. But they are also where confidence comes from. The whole educational process comes from friction. It comes from a cognitive dissonance. It comes from all that uncomfortable feeling that I'm not going to make it. I can't do it. This is too hard. But they can do hard things. This is where their confidence, this is where their growth comes from. Not because someone told them that they were capable. We can tell them that all day long. But because they discovered it themselves through that friction. And sometimes as parents, sometimes we rob our children of that discovery when we rush in too quickly. Sometimes support looks less like solving every little problem and more like listening to them. Sometimes that encouragement that you want to give them looks less like advice and more like simple presence. And sometimes the best thing that we can say is, hey, I know this is hard. And then simply sit with them. And another thing that I wish every parent understood, and maybe we will over time, is that directors are not trying to create performers. Although it looks like that's exactly what we're doing. But at the core of it, at the core of all education, really, in my opinion, what we're trying to do, and what they are trying to do, is to create people. Functioning, contributing people. The music that we're doing, the show, that's simply the vehicle. The competition, it's a vehicle. What we're really doing in these moments is teaching commitment, accountability, teamwork, resilience, time management, leadership, and perhaps most importantly, how to contribute to something that is truly larger than yourself. All of those lessons that they learn there are going to matter long after the final performance. Nobody's going to care what score your child earned at a contest 10 years from now. They're not. But people will absolutely care whether your child knows how to show up on time, how to work with a team, how to handle criticism, stay committed when things get difficult. Band teaches those things every day. So do the fine arts in general. And parents help reinforce them at home. And let me just validate that, because in my professional life, as a production manager, coordinator, engineer, whatever you want to call me, some of the best employees that ever come along, some of the best members of my team that have ever come along, have deep, deep roots inside of the fine arts world. They don't just show up on time, they're early. They don't know how to just work with a team, they know how to lead a team without ever asking them. I can rely on those folks every time. I can put them on a project and literally walk out of the room and know that they're going to handle it. I can't do that with everybody. But the fine arts kids that come along, the fine arts adults that were once fine arts kids, I can do that every time, without fail. Now let's talk about boosters for a moment, because this is where things can get a little confusing sometimes. A healthy booster organization exists to support students. They're not there to control the program. They're not there to direct the staff. They're not there to determine artistic decisions. That's what the staff is for, that the school district hired and contracted with. That's their job. Yours, as a booster, it's in the name, it's to boost. It's to support students. When booster culture is healthy, parents become partners in the mission. And when booster culture becomes unhealthy, adults begin competing for ownership of that mission. And those are very different things. One of them clearly builds community, and the other creates conflict. I'm going to pause there for a minute. New parents. You see it, I see it, we all see it. There's a lot of conflict out there. and an absence of community. And maybe this is just the dad in me starting to call this out, but we have a serious lack of community and an awful lot of conflict. And I know that what I see on social media is being fed by the algorithm. And because I engage with a lot of the conflict adjacent posts, it's going to show me those more. And also those posts just get a lot of traffic. So they're going to get preferential treatment in the algorithm, and people are going to see more of it. And it's just going to kind of feed that beast. But the sheer volume of those conversations are not just unique to those situations. They're a pattern. There's a lot of them, and it's happening from coast to coast. There's a lot of conflict and not a whole lot of community. So new parents, I want you to keep that in mind, that you have the ability to change the direction of that community and mitigate some of that conflict. Because the best boosters I've ever seen understand that their greatest contribution isn't money. It's trust. Trust in the staff, trust in the process, trust in the students. Trust that growth is happening even when it isn't immediately visible. And finally, I want to tell you something many parents need to hear. You didn't miss the boat here. You don't need to know band. You don't need to know music. You don't need to be fully educated on how all of this works. You don't need to know how competitions work. You don't need to understand the rubric, even though I've put an episode out there about that caught fire once. But I mean, there's a lot of acronyms and a lot of inside things that you just don't need to know those right now. You don't need to understand every caption score. Like I said, you don't need to be an expert here. Although you're going to be surrounded by some parents who seem like they are. But I need you to understand it just seems that way. But what I need you to focus on right now, new parents, what I need you to do, what your kids need you to do, what the staff needs you to do, what the other veteran boosters need you to do, they just need you to care. The students don't remember the parents who knew the most. They remember the parents who showed up. The ones who sat in the stands, who drove the carpools. The ones who listened after rough rehearsals and calmed you down. The ones who celebrated little victories. The ones who stayed. The arts, they have a remarkable way of changing young people. I've watched it happen for decades. I watched it happen just the other day in a theater performance. I've watched shy kids find confidence. I've watched lonely kids find belonging. I've watched scared kids do hard things. I've watched them face their fears. I've watched struggling kids find purpose. I've watched kids who've been rejected by all the other kids be accepted by these. I've watched children discover who they are. And behind almost every one of those stories is a parent who simply kept showing up. And maybe that's the answer to the question after all. What does a band parent do? They show up again and again and again until one day they look around and realize their child has become someone remarkable. And that's when they realize that they had a front row seat to the whole thing. And honestly, that's one of the greatest gifts that this experience has to offer. Thanks for listening. And until next time, let's raise the bar together.